Hey everybody. Today we are going to check out one of the last, am I going here? Okay. We're going to check out one of the last Radio Shacks in my area. A little town a little bit further up the ways, there is a Radio Shack, and it's been there for quite some time, but we're gonna see if it's still there today. So let's go do this. I had to stop recording there for a minute because I didn't realize that I didn't have my seatbelt on, and safety first. So for my road trip snack, I have Hostess Christmas trees. It's one of my favorite things to eat during the holidays. I don't eat very many of them because they're not the best for you. They're not super healthy. But I always try to get a box and just enjoy it for the season. And yeah, love these little things. I love this little drive. It's about, I don't know, 15, 20 miles from where I live. But there's a nice back road that I enjoy taking. Not much traffic. Oh, wow. Look at this guy. He's got himself, it appears to be a moped that's been converted to a trike. Very interesting. I can't pass this man because it is a double yellow line. Oh, okay, he's turning. Wow, that was interesting. So this vehicle that we're in now is my minivan. It is a 2003 Dodge Caravan, and I inherited it, and it has been on many adventures that I've had. A previous job that I used to have, I would drive around and do inspections for insurance companies, and I would use this as my vehicle to get around. And there was a lot of driving, for that job. I would go hundreds of miles from where I live to, the property that I had to inspect. And this was the vehicle that I drove. I always enjoy driving this car, this van. I like the captain's chairs that it has. It's comfortable to drive in. People would make fun of me for driving the van, but it never bothered me. I have a couple of other vehicles that I have. I have my first, I wouldn't call it my first vehicle. Ooh. Speed bumps, man. Can't stand those little things. But my first real car that I had was my first car that I bought for myself was a Oldsmobile Delta 88. It was 85, I believe. Blue. Man, it was cool. But it was only $500. Can't really find a $500 car nowadays in as good a shape as that one was. But that was my first car, but I got in an accident to it a few months after I got it. There was a car pile up, and I ended up losing that car. But the first car that I like real car that I guess you could say, that was my my 2001 Mustang. My grandmother bought that for me as a graduation gift, and I got to drive it my senior year. And I still have that to this day. I drive that not so often. I just got it fixed not too long ago. But back to the minivan. There's some quirks to this van. My grandmother used to drive it, and she was partially blind, and so there's fun little custom pinstripe jobs that she installed by hitting her barn when she would go and park it. But other than that, it's a decent vehicle. For the longest time, it didn't have AC, and I would have to drive this thing with no AC, and I could not stand driving this thing without AC. Super miserable in this Georgia heat. But you notice that the headliner has been removed. I did that. I did that about 2 weeks ago, and that was a huge undertaking that I didn't realize was going to be, because all the little foam stuff had been deteriorating and it all fell down. I had to vacuum it up, and it was still kind of sticky, so it was just very annoying to try to vacuum it all up in the van and make sure that the van was clean when I got done doing it. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. What do you guys think? It doesn't bother me so much. But then again, I'm a kind of person that if it gets the job done and it's not ugly, well, if it doesn't impair anything, what's the big deal? I like to have nice things, but then at the same time, like, I don't have to have nice things in order to feel better about myself. Like, I maintain this van. I enjoy driving this van. It's nice right now for me to be able to get out and, drive around and do what I want to do. But yeah, it's not a complete and total eyesore, but it's not the best looking vehicle ever. So Radio Shack was a technology company, not a technology company. It sold electronics, electronic accessories, things that you could use to, refurbish an electronic device, things that you could, like remote control cars or radios and speakers and, home electronics that the hobbyists could, repair and that kind of thing. And then it would sell like phones and then other electronic stuff. But it was an electronics store that focused on the hobbyist, and not really, it wasn't for like commercial repairs. I'm assuming so, because most of the time you would see them in malls and strip malls and things like that. But they were super prominent in the 80s, and I think they probably peaked in the early 90s, but by the early 2000s they started to appear to be a little bit dated, and their interiors, you definitely felt like you were stepping back in time when you went to a Radio Shack. And I would say 2010, I'm not exactly sure when exactly, but they filed for bankruptcy. But right after that, they did a Super Bowl spot, which was super cool, and it kind of helped revive them a little bit. But the Super Bowl spot, they they ended up getting a whole bunch of 80s icons like Hulk Hogan and Jason from the horror movies, and all these 80s icons, pop culture references, all those kinds of things to come in and restore the store. So they busted in, and 80s music is blaring, and they rip out all the old 80s decor and stuff. So they were poking fun at the fact that, yeah, they did look 80s and they were dated, but they embraced the 80s icon that it kind of was. And then once they ripped everything out, and then they start bringing all this new stuff in. So all these 80s icons were bringing new decorations, new displays, new things like that. And so that helped boost them a little bit, but it ended up not saving them. So unfortunately, Radio Shacks have been falling away ever since. And I have not seen one other than this one that's in this little town not far from me. And so I haven't been by since the whole COVID thing has been going on to see if it's still around. But we're going to try today to see if it happens to still be there. Alright, everybody, we're coming up on it now. I don't see the sign. Oh, I see the sign. I see the sign out front. Here we go. Look! It's still here. Holy cow. It is still here. How about that? Not too often you see that sign hanging above a store. Pretty cool though. Pretty cool to see that there are some things from my childhood still kind of hanging on. So after I went inside, it definitely did look like a Radio Shack, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's not an official Radio Shack. It is a dealer, a Radio Shack dealer. So I guess they just bought the license to have the name so they could put the sign up. But it's cool nonetheless that they have the rights to use that you can go in there and see some Radio Shack branded items and try to help rebuild some of your electronics. They are, I guess, switching over to their own brand and building their own business there, and that's still cool. But it was still cool to go in there and see. I didn't want to film in there. I didn't want to be all up in their business, trying to film all their stuff and annoy them in that way. But I did want to at least get a sign, get a look of the sign and see if they were still operating. And so you go in there and you do see some branded items from Radio Shack. Some of them are a little bit discolored and the packaging is yellowing, but it's cool nonetheless. It was cool to go in there and see, like I said, part of my childhood still kind of hanging on. It's weird because a lot of what I kind of grew up on seems to be fading away, and life tends to go very fast now, and people tend to jump from one thing to the other, and nostalgia is seems like it's kind of dying. I don't like to live in the past, but I do enjoy things of the past and the memories that they hold. I know not everything is going to stand the test of time and be there forever, but but you do kind of hurts your heart a little bit when you see something that you grew up with, that you would frequent often when you were younger, to all of a sudden, not be there anymore. So just my little 2 cents on that. I look back at some of the things that I would, like, y'all remember putt-putt golf? And I'm getting a little bit off tangent here on things, but putt-putt golf was something that you used to do a lot as a kid, or at least I enjoyed doing it. But most kids nowadays would rather stay inside, play video games. And while I played video games as a kid, I don't know, it just didn't seem to. More people are turning to a virtual world rather than the real world. And the real world can be really fun if you try to appreciate the small things that life has to offer. Not everything has to be grandiose. Not everything has to be fancy schmancy, and you have to have the most exhilarating experience all the time. You don't have to be impressed over big things all the time. Some of the small things in life can be impressive. I mean, I enjoy sitting on my front porch watching traffic go by. I enjoy my cup of coffee in the morning. Just a cup of coffee in the morning. I enjoy that. I don't know. Gotta look back and see all the things that, because when life comes at you, sometimes it can get you thinking. Get you thinking that time is short, and appreciating even the smallest things can make time kind of go a little bit slower, even though it feels like every minute is faster than the last. But anyway, thanks for joining me on this little random adventure of ours, going to an 80s icon that I didn't think really existed anymore. So, do you guys have a Radio Shack near you? Is it like a real one? Is it a dealer one like the one up the street from me? I'd like to know, because I do have a fondness for that brand. Even though I don't use it as regularly as some people would, I do have a fondness for that brand. Even though it was a niche thing, I think they're super cool to kind of, just step back and, you be a hobbyist. But anyway, let me know in the comments below, is there any Radio Shacks that you know of that are still around? All right, thanks again, guys, for joining me, and I'm out.